All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. And I want to come in here this morning. I really, truly want to talk to you for a moment. I want you to understand a few things. And I believe it's my job to try to do my best to try to stimulate thought where our mind normally wouldn't go or would not go because of the way that we have been trained to function. And I didn't say educate. And if you listen to me for any extended period of time, any amount of time, you know I use those terms quite often. I want to talk about the word conceptualize. You know, we have concepts in our minds, the way that we believe things are, because we constantly, everywhere we go, we're inundated with images. And images, as the old saying goes, a picture is worth so-called 1,000 words. I want you to listen to me real close. We live in a time and in the age of deception. And I had somebody ask me, the question, and I'll tell you what, I'll just talk about it here rather than just going into detail with the question. Over the years, and when I mean over the years, I'm talking about a great process of time, like 60 years. Let's just say 60 years, okay? We've had people rise up and think themselves and believe themselves to be some type of great prophet. They either think themselves to be some type of, as a matter of fact, some of them even claim to be Jesus themselves. Only thing we know about these people is what the official story says. I don't believe anything that the government has put out about Waco. And I don't know too much about Waco except what people are saying one way or the other. But since I wasn't there, so therefore I don't speak too much on it. I don't know much about Jim Jones, with the exception of what people say. I wasn't there, and I definitely don't believe the official story that the government puts out. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and just make it plain. Anything that the government says, I don't believe. And the reason why I do not believe it is because I found them 100% of the times to be liars. And so therefore I cannot trust them. And you would do well if you adopt the same position. But I think one thing I want to say is just because somebody says something, that doesn't mean you go out there and run with it. Because what do you do if you've done your due diligence and then you discover that what somebody said and you repeated what somebody said, it wasn't so? Are you going to surgically remove your foot out of your mouth for misspeaking, misquoting, and misrepresenting the people? Nah, most people just turn around and go on in life after the damage is done. They never even think about what has been said. But we've had quite a few people present themselves as something. And what's amazing is that anybody who remotely does anything that is totally separate, listen to what I'm saying, from the way that the world goes. You know that the world travels a certain way, right? If you even go against the grain in anything that the majority of the people do, they automatically label you a crackpot, a kook, someone to not even be recognized, much less heard of. And that's the way that the world is designed. The world is designed like that. The economic sector is designed like that, and the religious sector is designed like that. Let me give you an example, all right? If you can hear me. I'm going to give you two different perspectives here. Let's look on the economic front for a second. There are less than maybe 1% of the population in the United States of America that actually really truly knows what sound money is. So that means 99% of the people do not know what sound money is, but they have chose to accept the medium of exchange that the government has put before them. Now, you hear me often being critical of the government, and I should be, and I have a right to be because I'm an American, right? Is that so? Is that true? Sure it is. I'm a veteran, and I'm American. I have a right to be critical. especially as a taxpayer. And I do pay a lot of taxes. So when you think about that, that means that people have not really truly read that document called the Constitution to find out what the founding fathers believe real money to be. So therefore, people are functioning after their training and not education, because the system that we call education is not education at all. After all, every job, every certificate, every diploma, everything they get, in order for you to function in society, you have to actually get their approval and graduate or either pass their class by their approval just in order to function. That's why we have licenses on everything. Does a license say that you can't do anything? I mean, come on, think about it. Does a license mean that you're not qualified? If you follow that train of thought? I mean, because after all, the people out here in the world would not consider me a professional builder. But if you watch and you look at some of the buildings that I build, I do better than those who actually have license. Think about that. There are people out here who are professional trainers, survivalists, self-defense trainers, weapons trainers, who don't meet the criteria of the government. And when they don't meet the criteria of the government has all of America duped and deceived because they are not certified, they do not have license, and what they're implying is that they are not qualified by the established authority, which is government. And so that lets you know the government believes it is God. And they have our financial system so much to the point that it's jacked up that, these dollars even say legal tender for all debts, public and private. They say that, but they don't really mean that, because the government wants in on everything that you're doing. They could care less. You remember a long, long time ago how that they made a big stink about all these people selling fire water, moonshine and stuff, and they went and raided the distillers, raided the back countries and stuff, and these moonshine, these people creating this stuff that's destroying the lives of people. Well, anyway, they didn't stop it. So you know what the government did? They changed their attitude and perspective. Now they've legalized it. Now you got liquor stores, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 within a 10-mile radius in every city. And why? Is the fire water still not doing the same thing that it's always done? Sure it has, but you know the difference is? Taxes. They found out they could regulate it in taxes and make a lot of money. So they could really care less about what moonshine, pure grain alcohol was actually doing to the public. They could care less. So they have swayed public opinion in just about everything that we do in life. And when you start exercising critical thinking, first thing they do is all those who have been trained by the system, because they have been trained to function very well. As soon as you start going against wind and tide, they make you an enemy. They call you a crackpot and a kook. As a matter of fact, you already have communication hitting you in your mind that if you do anything contrary to the way that the flow of everybody does, the first thing they do, and the first thing that comes up in your mind is fear. Fear of change, fear of pushback, because of the way everybody's going to respond, the way everybody's going to react, how they're going to believe, how they're going to do. It's utterly amazing the amount of control that we are under and we never even think about. With all that said, now let's go on the religious front. We've had people like, let's say, Jim Jones, David Koresh. That's we just going to throw them names out there because the public has drugged their names through the dirt. I don't know them. I can't really speak one way or the other. I hear a lot of things. I hear on both sides. But I've learned over the years to not say too much about things I really truly don't know myself, but we'll just use those as public information, okay? And there's a passage of scripture in the Bible that says that many shall come in my name saying, that they are Christ and shall deceive many. So when you look at these crackpots, these nutcases, these Fruit Loops, as they have been painted, the David Koreshes, the Jim Jones, and all these people that are claiming to be Jesus Christ. Let's look at this real quick. Do they actually fit the criteria of the Bible as many? But you look at the system, anybody who does anything separate than the system. You notice nobody ever jumps on the Amish. Nobody ever jumps on the Mennonites. Anybody who done something separate. Nobody ever says anything about them. Nothing whatsoever at all. They live a set apart, separate life. Nobody calls them a cult, a crackpot, a kook, or nothing like that. It's only when you come out of the world. You see, because whether people like it or not, the world belongs to Satan. And this world is functioning after his order. And Satan doesn't like it when his subjects come out of his world. And then they jump sides and go over to the Messiah because their eyes have been wide open. And all those who are under his control will reach out and attack you. And the whole idea is to get you to stop doing what you're doing and go back into the world. Well, some of us see it, some of us don't. I see it clearly. I know exactly what's going on. But these people cannot fit the many because the word Christ means anointed. So when you're looking at the translation of the King James Version of the Bible that says that they say that the words of Jesus said, that many shall come in my name and shall deceive many, or many shall say that I am Christ and shall deceive many. What they're saying is, and what the scriptures is really trying to say to you, is that many will claim that they are anointed. Many will claim that they are preachers and teachers sent by God. And they're going to deceive many. Now, let's look at this thing in context of the order of today. Are not the mega churches, would not the mega churches fit this description? I mean, after all, look how many people flock to them. The largest religion in the world. I didn't say the faith, but the largest religion in the world, Christianity. Look at how many people flock to it. Would that not be, and would that not fit the description to a T? Look how many people. The Benny Hinn's, the T.D. Jakes, the Joyce Myers, the Creflo Dollars, the Eddie Longs, the Frederick Pauks, the Roman Catholic Pope, and then, the Crystal Cathedral. And look at how many people come to that thing. And you know what? There is nothing about that religion that actually fits the Bible. If you don't believe me, go read it for yourself. Check it out. So what the world has done is they have pulled a flim-flam. They have flip-flopped the minds of the people. So anyone who chooses to come out to live a separated life and to live quiet and peaceably, automatically they have trained and coerced and manipulated our minds to attack those who are actually making an attempt on obeying the book. But those who live after the worldly sort, do just like the world, act like the world, dress like the world, everything like the world. Nobody, hardly anybody ever attacks them for their inconsistent lifestyle, the hypocrisy that they are living in. I mean, after all, do you think that these churches could get full to the rim and brim if sin wasn't permitted? I mean, I know this for a fact. I'm a preacher and I preach hard, very hard against sin, because I know that if we don't raise our children right, there's going to be very little morality left in the future, because the morals of this country is already all but gone. And so there are only going to be a few that is going to live up to the standard of this book. I already know that, but what I'm telling you is that the system and the religions of this world have flipped your minds. They have flipped your minds. All these preachers pretty much they have learned from the same religion. And look how many people flock to them. Well, that is what Jesus was talking about. That's what the Bible was talking about. And you have had the flim-flam pulled on you. You have had many people come in Christ's name, and they have deceived many. And the sad part about it is you don't think you ever been deceived because you're part of the many and not part of the few. And now the many always attacks the few as if they are the ones that the Bible talks about. Whoo, what a flim flam. You talking about run them up. It's something, isn't it? No, we teach our children to keep the commandments as well as the adults. We believe in morality. One husband, one wife. We believe in that. We don't believe in having thousands of wives. But yet there are religions out there that do. And nobody ever says anything about them. Nobody does. It's remarkable, isn't it? But there's always those few disciples that are living a separated life that people seem to try to make a spectacle of. And they are the ones that are constantly attacked, isn't it? I think you'll do well to learn the etymology of words. Because we have been deceived on an unprecedented scale and to an unprecedented level. Consider what I say, whether it be in what you call the religious front or the economic front. I've learned in this short period of time that I've been here on this earth that there are things, the way they paint them to us, they don't seem what they are. And neither do people seem to be what they are. Says a preacher, I'm not going to ever have what you call hundreds and thousands of people. You know why? Because Christ didn't. The real true Christ didn't either. As a matter of fact, they put him to death for telling the truth. But it's amazing how we vilify liars, isn't it? We make statues and monuments and we erect great, big, gigantic, I mean, you can almost call these things, what do you call these things? Temples to some of these people. Man, we honor the wicked and persecute the righteous. I think what we've done in this society, we've gotten to the point that we find it so hard to believe that somebody is actually preaching, teaching, and living the truth in every aspect or every aspect they can of their lives as they discover it. It's so shocking to us, it's hard for us to believe. You know why? Because the system has manipulated us, has coerced us, has trained us. We've not been educated to function their way for a very long time. And it's hard for us to twist and wrap our minds around you should not commit adultery. Mankind should not lie with man as he does with woman. You should not have your father's wife. All liars will have their part, which burneth in the lake of fire. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. Drunkards, fornicators, idolaters, men being lovers of themselves. Don't you be deceived one time. None of you will not inherit the kingdom of Yah. None of you. We don't like that. But we do like Kim Kardashian, Britney Spears, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Barack Hussein Obama, Ben Shalom Bernanke. We love all these people, but we hate those who tell us the truth. I wonder why. I tell you one thing, I'm not part of that many, and I am definitely not deceived.